And let's talk about brand co-creation. It really is something I think people wanted to do for years, but now in the 21st century, it's capable. Co creation is basically to actively involve end users in a development process, all the way from the identification of what it might be of a challenge to the implementation and tracking of its solution. Back in the day when I was heading Pizza Hut's advertising, our agency was in Chicago, and the Foot Cone Belting was the name of it. And they had another client, Coors Light, and we met up with the brand team one night at Rush Street, which was kind of an area for creative thinking. Let's call it that. A lot of bars, and they were doing their work. They were simply trying to understand how people were referring to their product. And the drinkers called it the silver bullet. This was an important insight, and what ended up happening was that they actually used that concept and launched Coors Light with the idea of the silver bullet. So that's brand co-creation. It happens because consumers have user knowledge, and that contributes to product development and design and markets and suppliers and sales channels. So the marketer is smart when they embrace all of this input and this knowledge and co-create the brand. How does that happen? Here's an example of one called Glossier, which is a very interesting brand of beauty products. And the owner actually wanted to come up with some new ideas, and she called into action a number of folks that came forward and provided her the input. So what we are seeing today is something very simple. We used to purchase goods and services from professional artisans and manufacturers who, quote unquote, knew how to do this. And they would pay people to go out and find out and talk to customers. You don't have to do that anymore. You can go right on the web and ask people, just like Glossier did. Today, it's also everyday consumers who produce media content, design products, and invest in startups. Maybe you've invested by going online to one of the various startup sites and throwing in a few bucks to get your ground floor position on a new product. And we see this show up because they act as retailers, such as Etsy, where there's dozens and dozens, hundreds of people selling goods. They act as food critics. And here's a spoof of a cat doing food critic work from his computer at home. But there's lots of people that are doing this, and there's a whole web and network of people that provide food critiques. They are tour guides and certified by TripAdvisor, and of course, how could we forget your Uber driver? Now, before we finish, I want to say this. Grupo Modelo, a number of years ago, the makers of Corona, had a problem in the plant. They got all these return bottles back, and they had a lot of trouble getting the limes out of them. And people were just irritated by it until a young brand manager said, well, wait a minute. That's the way people are drinking our beer. That distinguishes us. That makes us different. And boom, here you go. This is the result.